Hello, this is Dale with Gecko University. Welcome back to another module. Today we're going to talk about the safety checklist. And I don't think it really matters whether you're a one-man operation or you've got several employees following in your path. It's very, very important for so many reasons. But I want to touch on some of those as you grow. Keep these things in mind. I've had up to 25 technicians under me, and I think if this is not adhered to religiously, and when you find it's not being adhered to, it's a teachable moment, as I like to say, for the technician that did it. There's many, many reasons. I think as an overview, before we get into each little portion of this, I think we want to talk about the macro look of doing this with consistency. One of them is if you go to a garage and go discussing with the customer what an issue is, and they go, well, this happened before. It's so nice to go back and pull up the previous safety inspection report, whether you did it or someone else did it, and it's completely filled out. The notes are thorough enough as they need to be to address any concerns that the customer had, and also any advice we might have given them. Not to prove the customer wrong, but so we can do our job correctly and bring up to the customer that this has happened again, and on and on. The benefits are obvious. Another reason we want to do this is this is customer facing, and we are too. So if we go in, obviously most of us that have been in the business for some time know what the issue is. Obviously there's a broken spring, perhaps a cable frayed. It's just a safety issue. We don't need to do the thing, but we really do for them, and also to be thorough. If you have a tablet, it's good to do it with them there, and they can see you doing each and every single item. And you can do a question and answer session with them. So revealing. Take that 10 minutes up front. That is just so valuable. Not only will it increase your sales, but it will increase the respect and confidence from your customer that you addressed their concerns and took care of it and noted it. Huge. If you're not doing it, it's very, very important. So going with that, let's talk about a couple things here. The first one, door balance. Why do we want to check door balance? Obviously it's huge. Heavy door, hard on openers, especially AC motors with plastic gears. Doors all whip and may not stay up because it's not balanced properly. Like during a power outage or some type of maintenance the customer may be doing when it's safe for them. And also, is it too hot? Too hot, just as bad, or if not worse, than heavy. That needs to be addressed, and you can note it on there. Springs, are they fatigued? Are they overwound? Is one underwound? Make a note of those. Rollers, a lot of people have different opinions on this. They wear out, and I'll tell you, rollers make a door roll so much better. Bring it up. If they're worn, make a note of it. Look for scarring. If they're metal rollers, look for the outer race to be getting squared off, and they'll create a ton of restriction in the flow. Drums, another good one. Especially if you're working on a two-car door with a single spring, check that drum on the opposite side. It's typically getting very beat up along with the bearing that's pressing against it. So address that, show the customer, and make a note on there. Center bearing, is it plastic? Is it going to last the lifespan of the springs you're putting on? In bearings, again, pretty self-explanatory. Make sure they're in good shape. Hinges, typically they're going to tear at the bottom of, I guess, what I call the collar of the plate that fastens against the section. That's where most tears happen, but inspect them. So often we take a flashlight and just glance at them, and upon closer inspection, there's always one torn. Another side note, the hinges, I see this quite a bit. If you're using an operator reinforcement bracket, an ORB, make sure it goes over the hinge. The hinge does not go over the ORB ever. You will get clicking and ticking when the door goes up. Panels, make sure you note any damage. It protects you. and it informs the customer there was damage here or there, especially tears. Tears take a long time to happen. They don't happen overnight. Crushes do, not tearing. It takes months or years. Make a note on there also what type of panels, or if there is any kind of damage to them. That way, if the customer calls in, the office person can assist you. Say, oh, that's an old Stanley door. We know there's no sections available. Or a Windsor, or whatever the case might be. It'll really help us price the door and make a decision on where to go without having to go back there again. Torsion tube, pretty standard. The vinyl, same. Trolley, these get overlooked quite a bit, especially on things like a LiftMaster formula. They're so often, I don't know why on that one, they are sheared where they travel on the T-rail, so that's a good one to check. Safety reverse limit switch. So this one here, when I was with guys, so often they would not do this. According to all the manuals I've ever read, it says put a 2x4 on the floor, run the door down until it hits it and comes back up. So often I have seen the nose bracket tear off from the header doing that it's I'm kind of on the fence. That's a good one to do, but in addition, I do it when it's a few feet off the ground. I do it where also it's going to mimic hitting the bumper of a car especially, or a stinger hitch coming out of the rear of the pickup. I think it's more practical and real world, if you will, of what is actually going to happen. And maybe even over on the side, make sure it's going to reverse should there be a handle sticking out near the vertical portion of the track. That's where most of the hung door incidents arrive from. So make sure the customer sees you doing that. Make the adjustment while you're there. If it's a manual, dial on the back, or if you have to reprogram the motor, so be it. We want to make it safe. Operators are working fine. Again, if you can, and I don't know what kind of form you're using, if it's manual on paper or if you're doing it in a computer, if you can put on what kind it is. Again, when they call in later, 6 months from now, you probably won't remember, so it'd be a great idea to know if that's a Genie screwdriver or whatever, and help you diagnose it, perhaps over the phone, especially with a safety eye incident. Ma'am, I see you have a LiftMaster. Yes, it's okay, that one's amber, this one's green, whatever the case is, that's normal. Could save you a trip out there for something that could be handled quite easily on the phone. Capacitor, pretty simple, helps get the AC motor going. Look at it, they're usually typically fine if they're intact. You'll know a blown one when you see one. Gear and sprocket, be sure to check it each time. Look for wear, advise the customer. Safety eyes, I think this is a missed opportunity to educate the customer. I'd like to tell them, I'm going to empower you to be your own technician at this point. So safety eyes are something they can do, especially the LiftMaster type with a gimbal and the little thumb screw. So show them how to loosen that up and adjust it, and how one light goes out and one stays lit. Huge. They really, really enjoy the lesson. It's going to get you more respect. Going to save you a frustrating service call that could have been avoided. Huge. If you don't do that regularly, it will save you some calls. So, keypad, I think it's definitely good to check it. Probably 1 out of 10 times they don't work. Battery's dead. They moved in the house. They don't have the code. So it might be a good time to sell one or to revive that for them. Wall button. Make sure they understand what the vacation switch does. So many of them don't. And then you go to call out there after you install a new opener, or perhaps it's an existing one. They accidentally hit the vacation lock. Remotes don't work. What's going on? Again, you go out there needlessly for a call that could have been avoided. Remotes, are they all working? Pretty simple. Wiring, just again, noting exposed wires. Make sure there aren't any. Put a wire nut on there, or a dolphin, and crimp it, or whatever you need to do. Surge protector, good to have it on there. Let them know. And I've seen some owner's manuals where the warranty is not covered if there's not a surge protector on there. So I would certainly let them know that, in my experience, that's probably the number one reason for circuit boards failing in openers. That's definitely a ounce of prevention and a pound of cure. Notes, again, you might not be the guy going back. The team is only strong as its weakest link or worst note. Make notes. Put on there all the exceptions you found, what you told the customer, and what you told them to expect. Any other findings you have, it's huge. That'll really make your days and your teammates' day when they go back. So, anyways, I hope I covered some points that made you think and put this to better use. Thank you.